Hello everyone, it's me, Nikki, and today I'm here with another book tag. This one is called Get to Know the Fantasy Reader. It was created by the Book Pusher, and as usual, I will link everything down below. So the first question is, what is your fantasy origin story? How you came to read your first fantasy novel? Ooh. I don't even know what my first fantasy novel was. Does Dr. Seuss count? Is that weird enough? Because I remember reading Dr. Seuss. Yeah, we'll go Dr. Seuss. Fuck it. He's fantasy. Question 2. If you could be the hero or heroine in a fantasy novel, who would be the author and what's one trope you'd insist be in the story? Ooh, that's a good question. I think I would pick either Mercedes Lackey or Lois McMaster Bejeweled, or maybe... I do like Elaine Cunningham, who writes a series from the Forgotten Realms. Maybe Leah Bardugo? One of those four. Women only. And, a trope. It's one of my favorite tropes. Dragons. Are dragons a trope? I'm the chosen one because of dragons. Sure, why not? Number 3, what is a fantasy that you've read this year that you want more people to read? I have read The Last Wish, and I've seen like maybe a couple reviews, but I do think more people should read it. I consider it a classic, because it was written in 1993, so that's like classic fantasy, and just because it was originally written in Polish doesn't mean it's not a classic. So read this. Number 4, what is your favorite fantasy subgenre, and what subgenre have you not read from much? I like historical fantasy. I guess is that a subgenre? And I have not read urban fantasy. Do I have one? Yeah, I think I have one urban fantasy book, but it's also a historical fantasy. It's set in Whitechapel. Or is that steampunk? Is steampunk a subgenre? It's one of those things. But anyway, it's set in Whitechapel about Jack the Ripper. So it's like historical steampunk urban fantasy. Yeah. Number 5. Who is one of your auto-buy fantasy authors? Leah Bardugo. There's another one. I know I have them. Oh, this happens all the time. I should probably look at the questions before filling this out, but I do enjoy going by the seat of my pants. I had the name. And it left me. Lois McMaster Bejeweled, and I do like her sci-fi. I am going to reread her the same person. Miles Verkosigan. I don't know how to say that. What a surprise, right? Naomi Novik. There was somebody else, but I've forgotten now. So sorry. Number 6. How do you typically find fantasy recommendations? Goodreads. I specifically sign up for fantasy giveaway on Goodreads. YouTube, I watch Holly Hart's books, and she recommends a bunch of fantasy. And then usually just the other channels I watch, it tends to be fantasy. Usually it's like YA fantasy, but fantasy's fantasy in my opinion. Number 7, what is an upcoming fantasy release you're excited for? Oh, that's a good question. Let's go to Goodreads if my internet holds strong. Upcoming fantasy. We'll go to their Listopia. 2020. I'll click on that. This is the doesn't matter, I don't care what genre it's in. It says LGBT fantasy, but it doesn't tell me when they've come out. Oh, how about upcoming sci-fi fantasy with female leads or co-leads? That's a good one. Is that out? Yeah, that's out. I would like to read... Oh, this is out. Harrow the Ninth, but I haven't even read Gideon the Ninth. I've heard some people didn't like Gideon the Ninth, but much like my weird fascination for blue, like if it's blue, I'll buy it. So if you make a book with a blue cover, I will buy it. If you make a book and it's got 9 in it, I will buy it. It's just weird obsession I have with the number 9. Oh, I know. I just found it. I believe there's going to be another Wayward Children book. Oh, that's 2021. Does that still count? We're going to make it count. I read the first one, and I need to buy them all immediately. What else? The third of the Poppy War comes out, and I still have to read the other 2. So I'm going to count that one. Let's see. That's come out already. Some of these I've never heard of, just scrolling through here. Oh, that's out, isn't it? Fable. I'd like to read Fable. It's supposed to come out September 1st. And I believe there's already a sequel, Namesake, which is 2021. The covers look great. It looks like you can put them side by side and it's the whole character's face. Amazing. So yeah, that sounds amazing. Those are all that I want to read. Yeah, that's my answers. Those are my answers. Number 8. What is one misconception about fantasy you would like to lay to rest? That it is not all men. It's not all men writing, it's not all men reading, it's not all male characters. Like, it used to be, science fiction and fantasy used to be really like all men all the time. People always forget about Ursula K. Le Guin. Like, you read that first book in the Earthsea cycle and you're like, this is the trope namer right here. This is why everybody has like magical schools and demons and all this stuff. So yeah, it's not men-based. A lot of women read, write, and star in fantasy. And it's not all straight. So, number 9. If someone had never read a fantasy before and asked you to recommend the first 3 books that came to mind as a place to start, what would those recommendations be? The Last Wish. Because I think it is an easy book. It tells you a lot about the world of The Witcher without like throwing everything at you. You sort of learn it in bits and pieces. What else? I don't think I would recommend, like everybody says, oh, Lord of the Rings. I do not think I would recommend Lord of the Rings as your first fantasy book. That might be a bit too much. What's another one? Maybe the Grisha trilogy. At least the first book in the Grisha trilogy. The first one wasn't the Grisha trilogy. Or even the Crooked Kingdoms duology might be a better place to start. And another one. The Dritz. The Dritz series about the Dark Elf. That I can't... Homeland, I think, is the first one. Because it's set in Forgotten Realms, which is sort of... Is it part of Dragonlance or D&D? Can't remember. But yeah, I would recommend those. And number 10, what is the most recent fantasy reading content creator you came across that you'd like to shout out? I guess it's Holly Hart's Books. She talks a lot about fantasy. And usually only fantasy. Most other people do contemporary or romance. So, her, I guess. I don't know. So that's the tag. I'll leave everything down below if you'd like to do it yourself. But yeah, that's my video. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you're having a lovely day. Goodbye.